If your TV keeps restarting, or if it gets stuck in a boot loop where the logo appears and disappears again and again, you are not alone. This is one of the most common real-world failures technicians see in the workshop today. It affects LED, LCD, OLED, smart TVs, Android TVs, and even basic non-smart televisions. It can happen on Samsung, LG, Sony, TCL, Hisense, Xiaomi, Vizio, and many other brands. It can start suddenly, after a power cut or a software update. In this video, I will show you exactly how to diagnose and fix a TV that keeps restarting or is stuck in a boot loop, using the same step-by-step logic professional technicians use at the repair bench. You will learn how to identify whether the problem is caused by power supply failure, software corruption, mainboard damage, backlight overload, overheating, or internal short circuits. You will also learn which fixes are safe for you to try at home, and when you must stop and seek professional service to avoid further damage or electric shock. A boot loop is when your TV turns on, shows a logo or backlight, then turns off, then repeats the cycle again and again. This usually means the TV is failing a startup check. Modern televisions perform multiple internal checks before they fully power on. If any critical system fails, such as voltage stability or firmware verification, the TV will shut down to protect itself. Some users assume this is just a software glitch. Others assume the panel is dead. Both assumptions can be wrong. In real-world repairs, many boot loop TVs are fixed by replacing a failing power board capacitor, reflashing corrupted firmware, fixing an overheating processor, or repairing a shorted backlight strip. Before we begin, safety is critical. Never open a TV unless it is fully unplugged. Even unplugged internal capacitors can store dangerous voltage. If you smell burning, stop immediately. Welcome back to the Tech Vibes channel. This channel is dedicated to real-world device repair, troubleshooting, and practical electronics education. Every fix you see here is based on real technician experience. If you are new here, I am a repair technician who works on televisions, gaming consoles, laptops, and digital electronics. The troubleshooting methods in this video are the same steps used in professional repair centers. The reason your TV keeps restarting is not random. Your job as a troubleshooter is not to guess. Your job is to observe symptoms, test systems in order, eliminate possibilities, and confirm the root cause. You will learn how to identify power rail instability, firmware corruption, overheating shutdown, backlight overload, mainboard failure, memory chip errors, HDMI handshake crashes, and protection circuit triggers. You will also learn what not to do, such as forcing firmware updates blindly, heating boards with hot air guns without diagnosis, or replacing parts without confirmation. If this guide helps you, please like, share, and subscribe to the Tech Vibes channel. This helps more people find safe and accurate repair information. Now that you understand who this guide is for, the next section will help you understand exactly what your TV is doing. Accurate symptom identification is the foundation of correct diagnosis. First, observe the power behavior. Does the TV show a logo, then turn off? Does the backlight flash briefly? Does the standby light blink? Each of these patterns is important. Second, observe the timing. Does the TV restart immediately after turning on, within 1 to 3 seconds? Does it stay on for 10 to 20 seconds before restarting? Does it stay on longer if you unplug external devices? Does it restart only when you connect HDMI devices? Timing tells you whether the problem is related to startup checks, thermal buildup, or load conditions. Third, listen for sound. Does the startup sound play? Does the sound cut out suddenly before the screen goes black? Does the sound continue while the screen goes black? Sound behavior helps determine whether the mainboard is crashing or if the backlight system is failing. Fourth, check whether the problem started after a specific event. Did this happen after a power outage? Did it happen after a software update? Did it happen after a lightning storm? Did it happen after moving the TV? Did it happen after connecting a new device? These triggers often point directly to the failure source. Here are common symptom patterns and what they usually mean. If the TV turns on, shows a logo, then immediately turns off and repeats, this often indicates firmware corruption, unstable power rails, or mainboard failure. If the TV turns on, backlight flashes, then goes black but sound continues. This often indicates backlight driver failure, LED strip failure, or panel power overload. If the TV turns on and stays on for 10 to 30 seconds before restarting, this often indicates overheating protection, processor crash, or memory fault. If the TV only restarts when HDMI devices are connected, this often indicates HDMI handshake crash, shorted HDMI port, or external device voltage feedback. If the standby light blinks in a pattern, this often indicates a protection code. Different brands use different blink codes to indicate specific faults such as power board failure, backlight failure, or mainboard failure. Many users ignore these details and jump directly to factory reset or firmware update. This can sometimes work, but it can also make things worse if the problem is hardware-based. For example, forcing a firmware update on unstable power can permanently corrupt the memory chip. Technician tip: write down exactly what your TV does. Record the timing, sounds, lights, and triggers. This becomes your diagnostic roadmap. In the next section, we will start the actual troubleshooting process with external power and basic checks, because many boot loop problems are caused by simple power issues that do not require opening the TV. Before opening the TV or changing software, always start with external power checks. Technicians always rule out power source problems first, because unstable or incorrect power can cause a TV to restart, enter protection mode, or corrupt firmware. Many real-world boot loop cases are fixed at this stage without opening the TV. Step 1. Unplug the TV completely from the wall outlet. Leave it unplugged for at least 5 minutes. This allows internal standby power circuits and capacitors to discharge fully. Some TVs remain in a semi-powered state even when turned off, especially smart TVs connected to the internet. A full power reset clears temporary logic faults. Step 2. Plug the TV directly into a known good wall outlet. Do not use extension cords, power strips, surge protectors, or UPS devices during testing. These devices can introduce voltage drops, noise, or ground issues that trigger protection circuits or cause unstable startup. Technicians always test directly from the wall to eliminate external variables. Step 3. Test the wall outlet. Use another device such as a lamp or phone charger to confirm the outlet is stable. If the outlet is controlled by a switch, ensure the switch is not loose or flickering. Unstable wall power can cause repeated restarts that look like internal failure. Step 4. Inspect the power cord and plug. Look for cuts, fraying, loose prongs, burn marks, or bent pins. A damaged power cord can cause intermittent power delivery, which triggers reboot loops and power cycling. If your TV uses a detachable power cord, try another known good cord of the same rating. Step 5. Disconnect all external devices. Remove HDMI cables, USB drives, soundbars, antennas, Ethernet cables, and any other connected accessories. A shorted HDMI device, faulty USB stick, or damaged cable can crash the main board during boot, forcing a restart loop. Many TVs boot normally once all external devices are removed. Step 6. Try powering on the TV using both the remote and the physical power button on the TV body. If one method works and the other does not, you may have a remote issue, infrared sensor problem, or button board fault. Step 7. Observe the standby light behavior carefully during startup. Does it blink, change color, or turn off completely? Some brands use specific blink codes to indicate power board failure, backlight failure, or mainboard failure. This information becomes critical later. Step 8. If your TV has a detachable power brick, test the brick for output stability if you have a multimeter. Many modern TVs use external adapters that fail under load, causing boot loops. A brick may show correct voltage at idle but drop under load, forcing the TV to restart. Safety warning: do not attempt to open or probe the power supply while it is plugged in unless you are trained and using proper safety equipment. High voltage is present even when the TV is off, and electric shock can be fatal. Technician tip: if your TV works normally on a different wall outlet or with a different power cord, your problem was not internal. Always confirm external power stability before moving deeper. If your TV still keeps restarting or remains stuck in a boot loop after completing these checks, the next step is to examine software-based causes. Once external power and basic checks are confirmed, the next diagnostic layer is software. Modern TVs are computers with displays. They run operating systems, firmware, drivers, and background services. When these systems become corrupted, unstable, or incompatible, the TV may enter a boot loop or restart continuously. However, software fixes must be done carefully. Forcing resets or updates without stable power can permanently damage the system memory. Always complete the power checks in the previous section before attempting any software repair. Step 1. Perform a soft reset. Unplug the TV from the wall, press and hold the physical power button on the TV for 30 seconds. Then release, wait 10 seconds, and plug the TV back in. This drains residual charge and clears temporary logic faults stored in volatile memory. This alone fixes many restart loops caused by system crashes. Step 2. Attempt a factory reset using hardware button methods. If your TV restarts before reaching the settings menu, you may need to use button combinations on the TV body. The exact method varies by brand, but commonly involves holding the power button while plugging in the TV or pressing a combination of volume and power buttons during startup. This forces the TV into recovery mode. Technician tip: if the TV cannot stay on long enough to complete a factory reset, do not repeat endlessly. Repeated power cycling during memory write operations can permanently corrupt the firmware storage chip. Step 3. Check whether the problem started after a software update. Many real-world cases involve failed or interrupted firmware updates due to power loss, internet drop, or server errors. If your TV supports offline firmware updates via USB, download the correct firmware version for your exact model from the manufacturer using a separate device. Format a USB drive to FAT32. Place the firmware file in the root directory. Insert the USB drive into the TV. Follow the manufacturer's recovery update procedure. Do not remove power during this process. This can restore corrupted firmware and stop restart loops. Step 4. Try safe mode or recovery mode if your TV supports it. Some Android TVs and smart TVs allow booting into a minimal system environment where you can clear cache, remove problematic updates, or reset the system. Step 5. Remove user-installed applications if you can access the system briefly. Some boot loops are caused by crashing apps, malware, or incompatible system updates. Removing recently installed apps can stabilize the system. Safety warning: never attempt firmware updates if the TV is restarting due to unstable power or overheating. Updating firmware on unstable hardware can permanently brick the main board. If your TV still keeps restarting after safe resets, recovery attempts, and firmware restoration, the next step is to examine display, HDMI, and signal-related causes, because external signal faults can crash the main board and trigger restart loops. Many people do not realize that display and signal systems can cause a TV to restart or enter a boot loop. Technicians frequently see TVs that only restart when certain HDMI devices are connected, or when the panel backlight system draws excessive power. These failures often mimic software crashes, but are actually hardware protection responses. Step 1. Test the TV with no external signal sources connected. Remove all HDMI cables, USB devices, antennas, and Ethernet cables. Power on the TV with nothing connected. If the TV boots normally without restarts, the problem is likely related to an external device, cable, or port. Step 2. Reconnect one device at a time. Start with HDMI 1 using a known good HDMI cable. Power on the TV and observe behavior. Repeat for each port and device. If the TV restarts only when a specific device or port is used, you have isolated the fault. Common causes include shorted HDMI ports, damaged HDMI cables, devices sending unstable voltage through the HDMI 5-volt line, or HDMI handshake failures during startup. These conditions can crash the main board or trigger protection circuits, forcing a restart. Step 3. Try disabling HDMI CEC. HDMI CEC is a control protocol that allows devices to power each other on and off. Faulty CEC communication can cause power loops. If you can access the menu, go to Settings, then go to General, then External Device Manager, then HDMI CEC and turn it off. This prevents connected devices from controlling your TV's power state. Step 4. Check for backlight-related issues. If your TV turns on, shows a logo, then the screen goes black while sound continues, this often indicates backlight failure rather than a system crash. The TV may be shutting down to protect itself from excessive current draw in the LED backlight strips or driver circuits. To test this, shine a flashlight at an angle on the screen when it goes black. If you can see a faint image, the panel is working, but the backlight is not. This condition can cause restart loops because the power supply detects overload or abnormal current and resets. Step 5. Observe whether the restart timing changes with brightness level. If your TV restarts faster at high brightness, this indicates backlight overload. Step 6. If your TV has a screen dimming or power saving mode, disable it temporarily. Aggressive dimming can trigger protection circuits incorrectly. Safety warning. Do not attempt to test LED backlights by shorting connections. This can cause permanent panel damage and electric shock. Real-world example. A TCL TV boot looped due to a shorted HDMI line. Repairing the port resolved the restart issue completely. Technician tip. If the TV restarts with no devices connected, the problem is likely not HDMI related, and you must proceed to thermal diagnosis. Second, mainboard failure. The mainboard contains the processor, memory, HDMI controller, network controller, and system logic. Failure here often causes boot loops due to CPU crash, memory read errors, or corrupted firmware storage chips. Common causes include power surges, liquid damage, heat stress, and manufacturing defects. Technician test. Check for excessive heat on the main processor, shorted voltage regulators, or visible corrosion. Some technicians reflow or replace memory chips or processors, but this requires advanced equipment. Third, memory chip failure. Many TVs use NAND or eMMC memory to store firmware. When these chips wear out or become corrupted, the TV cannot complete boot. This results in endless restarts or freeze at logo. This failure is especially common in older smart TVs and Android TVs. Technician test. Attempt firmware reflashing. If flashing fails or the TV cannot write to memory, the chip is likely defective and must be replaced or reprogrammed. Fourth, backlight driver overload or LED strip short. If LED strips develop short circuits or draw excessive current, the power supply detects overload and shuts down. The TV then restarts, attempting to power the backlight again, creating a loop. Technician test. Disconnect the backlight connector from the power board and test whether the TV stays on without backlight. If the TV stays on without restarting, the backlight system is the cause. Fifth, shorted components on voltage rails. Shorted capacitors, diodes, or integrated circuits on the main board or power board can pull down voltage rails, causing immediate shutdown and restart. Technician test. Use resistance measurements to identify shorted rails. Compare readings to known good boards when possible. Real-world example. A Hisense TV boot looped due to a failing 12-volt rail capacitor on the power board. Replacing a single capacitor restored full operation. Another case. An Android TV boot loop was caused by a worn-out eMMC memory chip. Replacing the chip and reprogramming firmware resolved the issue permanently. Technician tip. Never replace boards blindly. Confirm the failure through testing whenever possible. Board swapping without diagnosis often leads to unnecessary expense and does not guarantee a fix. In the next section, we will discuss what not to do, because many common user actions turn repairable TVs into permanently damaged devices. Before attempting further repairs, it is critical to understand the actions that often make TV boot loops worse. In real-world repair workshops, many TVs arrive with permanent damage caused by well-intentioned but incorrect user actions. Following these do-not rules can save you time, money, and prevent injury. Do not repeatedly power cycle the TV. Many users plug and unplug the TV rapidly or press the power button continuously. Repeated attempts during a boot loop stress the power supply, mainboard, and memory chips. This can burn components, permanently corrupt firmware, or shorten the life of the backlight system. Do not attempt forced firmware updates on unstable power. If your TV shuts down mid-update due to power instability, the firmware chip can become permanently bricked. Always ensure stable power and adequate ventilation before performing updates or reflashes. Do not spray liquids or cleaners inside the TV. Liquids can short voltage rails, damage solder joints, and create permanent board failure. Even small amounts can cause corrosion that takes months to manifest. Cleaning should only be done externally with a dry, soft brush or compressed air on fully unplugged units. Do not use high-voltage testers or apply random voltages. Attempting to jump-start a board with external voltage is extremely dangerous. It can destroy the power board, main board, or panel, and can cause serious electric shock. Do not replace boards without testing. Many users assume swapping the main board will fix the boot loop. In reality, if the power board, backlight, or memory chip is faulty, replacing the main board only wastes money. Always confirm which board is failing with multimeter, observation, and testing. Do not ignore thermal warnings. Overheating can be subtle. Some TVs restart silently before showing heat issues. Blocking vents, adding covers, or continuing operation while hot can permanently damage the processor, memory, or power board. Do not dismantle the panel without expertise. The LCD or OLED panel is extremely sensitive. Mishandling the panel can crack it, short internal traces, or damage LED strips. Always handle panels by edges and only open the casing with proper knowledge. Do not assume myths from online forums. Many quick fixes involve grounding HDMI pins, shorting capacitors, or resetting firmware blindly. These often worsen the problem. Always rely on verified technician-tested procedures. Real-world example. A Samsung TV was brought in after a user tried to reflow the main board with a heat gun. The board was already stable. The user caused 3 burnt capacitors and permanent boot loop, turning a $200 repairable unit into scrap. Technician tip: patience is the best tool. Accurate observation, step-by-step testing, and avoiding rash actions is the key to safe and successful repair. In the next section, we will walk through the technician diagnostic flow, showing the exact order of steps professionals follow to isolate the root cause efficiently. Now that we have covered symptoms, power checks, software fixes, display, signal, overheating, and hardware causes, it's time to organize everything into a logical diagnostic flow. This is exactly how professional technicians approach a TV that keeps restarting or is stuck in a boot loop. Step 1. Observation. Before touching anything, carefully observe what the TV does. Note the startup pattern, timing, standby light behavior, sound, backlight behavior, and whether it restarts with or without external devices. Write everything down. This observation is your roadmap. Step 2. External power checks. Confirm the outlet works and provides stable voltage. Test with a known good power cord. Remove power strips, surge protectors, and extension cords. Unplug all external devices. Perform a soft power reset by holding the TV's power button for 30 seconds while unplugged. Confirm whether the TV can power on safely without devices connected. Step 3. Software checks. Perform soft reset and, if possible, a factory reset. Check whether the problem appeared after a firmware update. If the TV allows USB firmware recovery, prepare a correct firmware file and update carefully. Only attempt this after ensuring stable power and ventilation. Step 4. Display and signal isolation. Test the TV without HDMI, USB, or antenna devices. If the boot loop disappears, reconnect devices one at a time to identify faulty cables or ports. Check HDMI CEC settings and disable if necessary. Inspect the backlight system using a flashlight to detect faint images and check for overload or shorts in the LED driver circuit. Step 5. Thermal and overheating assessment. Check whether the TV stays on longer when cold. Inspect ventilation and clean dust from vents. Test with airflow to see if cooling stabilizes operation. Observe temperature near the main processor and power board. If overheating is confirmed, investigate failing heat sinks, dried thermal paste, or voltage regulators. Step 6. Internal hardware testing. Test power board output voltages, including standby and main rails. Inspect capacitors, resistors, and regulators for visible damage. Check main board for heat, corrosion, or shorted components. If safe, measure resistance across voltage rails to detect short circuits. Disconnect the backlight to see if the TV stays on without panel load. Confirm whether memory chips or NAND storage are functioning correctly. Step 7. Controlled repair. Once the faulty subsystem is confirmed, proceed to repair or replace it. Replace only what is necessary, such as capacitors, LED strips, or a memory chip. Avoid replacing boards blindly. Always verify operation before reassembling the TV fully. Step 8. Post-repair verification. After repair, run the TV for an extended period under normal load. Test with all external devices connected at different brightness levels and with normal airflow. Ensure the TV does not restart and temperature remains stable. Only after full verification should the TV be returned to normal use. Technician tip: document every step and result. This helps in future troubleshooting and ensures that intermittent faults are not missed. Many boot loop TVs show inconsistent behavior, so patient observation is key. In the next section, we will look at real-world repair case studies. To tie everything together, let's look at real-world examples from professional repair workshops. These examples demonstrate how following the diagnostic flow, careful observation, and step-by-step testing solves TV boot loop problems safely and effectively. Case Study 1. Samsung LED TV boot loop. A Samsung 55-inch LED TV kept restarting immediately after showing the logo. Observation revealed a rapid, repeated power cycle with the standby light blinking 3 times. External power checks confirmed a stable outlet and good power cord. Soft reset and factory reset did not help. HDMI devices were disconnected, but the problem persisted. Thermal inspection showed normal temperatures. Technician diagnosis. Measurement of the power board revealed that the standby voltage rail collapsed under load. A single failing electrolytic capacitor was identified. Replacing the capacitor restored voltage stability, and the TV booted normally without restart. The repair was completed safely, with minimal cost. Case Study 2. LG OLED TV with backlight overload. An LG OLED TV exhibited a boot loop where the logo appeared, then the screen went black while sound continued. Observation showed that the loop timing varied with brightness level. Ventilation was good, and external devices were disconnected. Technician diagnosis. Using a flashlight, the faint image was visible on the panel, confirming the main display was fine, but the backlight system failed. Disconnecting the LED driver allowed the TV to stay powered on. Inspection revealed one shorted LED strip causing excessive current draw. Replacing the LED strip and driver restored normal operation. Case Study 3. Android TV memory chip failure. A mid-range Android TV boot looped after a failed firmware update. The TV would stay on for 10-15 seconds before restarting. Observations suggested memory or software corruption. External power and basic checks passed. Thermal readings were normal and no external devices were connected. Technician diagnosis. Attempted USB firmware recovery failed repeatedly. Using diagnostic equipment, the eMMC memory chip was found defective. Replacing the memory chip and reprogramming the firmware resolved the boot loop permanently. Key lessons from these cases. Accurate observation is crucial. Each symptom, timing, and behavior informs the next step. Power stability is often the first and simplest fix. Many boot loops are caused by failing capacitors or unstable rails. Not all failures require board replacement. Sometimes a single component, backlight, or memory chip is the culprit. Overheating, backlight overload, and firmware corruption are frequent causes. Diagnosing in order prevents unnecessary repairs. Patience and systematic testing are more effective than guessing or following myths online. Conclusion and viewer action steps. If your TV keeps restarting or is stuck in a boot loop, follow these steps. Observe and document the symptoms carefully. Perform external power and basic checks. Attempt soft resets, factory resets, and firmware recovery safely. Isolate display, HDMI, and signal-related faults. Check for overheating and improve ventilation if necessary. Diagnose internal hardware using multimeter, observation, and controlled disconnections. Repair only what is faulty, avoid blind board swaps. Verify post-repair operation under all conditions. Following this technician workflow maximizes your chance of a safe, cost-effective repair. Remember to handle the TV safely, respect high-voltage components, and avoid risky, quick fixes. If this guide helped you, please like, share, and subscribe to the Tech Vibes channel for more real-world repair guides. With careful observation, systematic testing, and safe repair practices, most boot loop TVs can be restored to full operation without unnecessary cost or risk.